Hi, what we're going to do in this video and the next video is we're going to sketch a quadratic without using any technology or any calculator whatsoever. So I'm going to ask you please to put your technology away and your calculator away and just have a pencil and a pen and a ruler handy. So sketch a graph of y is equal to x squared plus 3x minus 4 showing the x and y intercepts and the coordinates of the vertex. Now the vertex is where we have a minimum point or maximum point. Now an important thing to remember about any quadratic is that the graphs are symmetrical. So we've got y is equal to x squared plus 3x minus 4. And we're going to take the x-axis. Now on the x-axis it's the line y is equal to 0. So what we do, we take x squared plus 3x minus 4 and put it equal to 0. And what we have to do, we have to solve that. Now we're going to solve it using factorization. Now the method I'm going to show you to factorize here may seem very long-winded to begin with. However, it will definitely help you when the number here is like 2 or 3. Much easier to factorize the resulting quadratic. So we have no number here, so the number there is actually 1. So I'm just going to write it in. And what we have is we do the product. So the product is the number in front of x squared times the very last number, which is minus 4. And you have to take into account the signs as well. So we've got 1 times minus 4, which is minus 4. Then we have a thing called the sum. And that's just going to be the middle number, and if it take into account what the sign is in front of it as well. Then you ask yourself this question. We require two numbers whose product is minus 4 and whose sum is 3. Pause the video now and see if you can come up with those two numbers. Okay, did you come up with the factors? These are called the factors, these two numbers. Did you come up with minus 1 and 4? If we just check that, minus 1 times 4 gives me minus 4. Well, we wanted that to be the product, so that's okay. And then minus 1 plus 4, the sum, is equal to 3, and that's okay as well. So these two numbers are okay. But you have to check them very, very carefully that they fulfill that when multiplied together you give that number, and when you get the sum you get that number. Now what you do is you take the quadratic and you split the middle term plus 3x into minus x plus 4x. By the way, it doesn't matter which way round you write these two at this stage. So we've still got plus 3x here because we've got minus x plus 4x, which makes plus 3x. Now we've also got the minus 4, and it's equal to 0. Now what we do is we factorize by what's known as grouping. So we group the first two terms together and take out the common factor, which is x, and we'll be left with x minus 1. Check, x times x gives you x squared, x times minus 1 gives you x. Bring down the sign which is here, and then group the next two terms together and take out the highest common factor there. So we can see the highest common factor there is 4. And we're going to be left with x minus 1 is equal to 0. At this stage, if you have done it correctly, what's in this bracket will always be the same what's in this bracket. Now this actually is now a common factor, so it can come out. And if you take it out, you're just going to be left with x plus 4. Now, this might have seemed very, very long-winded for you, but if you practice it, I can assure you, when you have something like 2x squared, you will be able to factorize quite easily. So now you say either x minus 1 is equal to 0, so x is equal to 0. But for these two things to be equal to 0, either that's 0 or that's 0, or they're both equal to 0. Or x plus 4 is equal to 0, which gives x is equal to minus 4. So we now have the x-intercepts are minus 4, 0, and 1, 0. For the y-axis, x is equal to 0. So that means we need to put x is 0 into this. So we're going to get y is equal to 0 squared plus 3 times 0 minus 4, which will give you minus 4. In fact, the last number here will always give you the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is going to be 0 minus 4. Right, so we've got the x and y intercepts. Now we just need the coordinates of the vertex. So writing down that function graph again, and right underneath of it, y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. This is the general form of a quadratic. Now the line of symmetry of a quadratic, and remember I told you quadratics are symmetrical, is minus b over 2a. So b is 3, so we'll want minus 3 over 2 times a, and a is 1. So that gives me minus 3 over 2. That actually gives me now the x-coordinate of the line, of the vertex, sorry. So what we do is we take this and we now substitute it back into this. So the y-coordinate of the vertex will be y is equal to minus 3 over 2 squared plus 3 times minus 3 over 2 minus 4. So that's going to give me, remember we're not using a calculator, so minus 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is, 2 squared is 4. So we've got 9 over 4 minus 9 over 2 minus 4. So to add things together with fractions, we need a common denominator. So that's going to be 9 over 4, multiply top and bottom here by 18 over 4, and then multiply this one by 4, we get minus 16 over 4. And then doing 9 minus 18 minus 16 gives minus 25 over 4. So the vertex is at the point minus 3 over 2, sorry, 25 over 4, 6 1/4. Right, the next step is so just summarise all the information. So we've got the x-intercepts, we've got the y-intercepts, and we've got the vertex. Sketch the graph. Now a sketching of the graph is not an accurate plot. You just have to get the basic shape right. So sometimes it's just best to do it on a bit of plain paper. So the first step with a ruler is to draw your axes and then label them x and y. And then roughly put on minus 4, 0, which is about there, and roughly put on 1, 0, which is about there. Now mark on 0, minus 4 down here. And then mark on the vertex. So the vertex is minus 3 over 2. So find minus 3 over 2, which is somewhere around here, and it needs to go somewhere down here, so the thing looks symmetrical. Now all you've got to do is draw the curve with a nice smooth curve going through all the points. Now when you're drawing the curve, probably better to turn this page upside and try to draw an N. So drawing the curve, and we know it's U-shaped because A is positive. We get a U-shaped curve, so it's going to go that way. So just drawing all the points up, and then at one end label the curve. Okay, so this has been a video to show you how to draw a basic quadratic without using any technology or a calculator. I hope you've understood, and I thank you very much for watching.